Okay, you're live.
Good evening. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow. We are meeting via teleconference, in this case, a Zoom session. We are allowed to do so under the governor's emergency order from a year ago now, at the beginning of the pandemic. This meeting was noticed in all the usual places in the village. What the first thing I need to do, though, of course, is to take a roll call to ensure that we have a quorum. I'll begin with Trustee Rodriguez. This is where you say here.
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Andrus.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Scaglione.
Here.
And Trustee Spiro.
Here.
Great, and we have a quorum. Thank you. We will begin our meeting as we normally do with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please rise with me as we say the pledge. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And it is also our custom to remember those members of our community who have passed away since our last meeting. And we'll just hang on a second. And we normally would stand for that, but we're all in our homes or offices, not together. So I would just ask you to join me in a moment of silence. Since our last meeting, we lost Juan Rodriguez of Valley Street at the age of 86, Ernesto Torres at the age of 79 of College Avenue, and Mario De Felice at the age of 91. And Mr. De Felice, and I should say it that way, a proud North Terrytowner to the end, and one of those exceptional people in our community. Like so many others, an immigrant, born not in this country, but came here at a young age, in his case from Italy, joined the Navy as a young man, served in the Korean War. After that was a police officer in North Terrytown for a couple of decades, served as a trustee, as deputy mayor, was a founding member of the Sleepy Hollow Ambulance Corps, and a life member of Pecanico Hook and Ladder Company as well. So he is survived by his wife Eleanor, and family and many, many friends here. Mario is somebody that we need to acknowledge. If you're going to live a life, you need to live one like that and give back a lot. And it's exactly what he did. So we thank him, and he'll live on with all of us. So join me in a moment of silence for all three of these gentlemen. Thank you. We will continue with our meeting. First up is we have two public hearings, and I'll ask the clerk to read the notice of public hearing, one on our budget. And as I say many times, one of the most important things that we do as a board is adopting this budget, and the other on the tax cap. Ms. McCarthy Tompkins, if you could read the notice of public hearing. Notices.
of the Village of Sleepy Hollow hereby schedules a public hearing to be held on Tuesday, April 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter via Zoom to hear and consider comments from members of the public on the proposed local law authorizing a property tax levy for 2021 in excess of the limit established in general municipal law, section 3C. All residents and taxpayers are welcome to attend and be heard at such hearing by order of the Board of Trustees, April 1st, 2021. Would you like me to read the next one?
Your volume, your audio is going in and out, but we'll take that as good enough to begin. So the budget has been published. It's available at Village Hall. It's also available online at the Village website. I urge anyone who hasn't had an opportunity to look at it to please get a copy and to make your comments known to the board. This public hearing is open now, and we're going to ask people to address us on the budget and on the tax cap. Just a quick comment on the tax cap. This board has voted to override the tax cap every year since the tax cap was first instituted by our folks up in Albany. We have to this day still been confused by Albany's inability to give us real numbers in advance of us voting on our budget. In the past, we've had tax increases that were less than 2%, but went over the tax cap. We've had tax increases that were more than 2% that were under the tax cap. So it's as far as I'm concerned, and as far as past boards have been concerned, it's meaningless and something that we have chosen to override. We take very seriously the budget process and your input on that, but think that the tax cap is something that has never been adequately explained, nor do we find it particularly helpful in this process. So we with that open it up to comments either from the board or from the public. Mr. Giacchio, is there anyone who would like to address the board on the matter of the public hearings?
No comments from the public.
Okay. We will certainly keep the public hearing open on the budget into our work session next week. And we encourage folks to reach out to us either through this process this evening or to email any of us or to email the clerk, and your comments will be distributed to the rest of the board, or to mail your comments to the rest of the board. And I open it up for members of the board. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know the clerk's audio was going in and out, but I think she only read the tax levy, tax cap public hearing and not the budget public hearing notice.
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Smith, does that matter for opening the public hearings?
You're muted.
And you're muted.
Yes, it does matter, but in this case, it doesn't, because I'm going to recommend that you open another public hearing now to cover the, I'm sorry, Denise, what was it that she read?
Just the tax cap, I believe.
Just the tax cap and not the budget.
So I would suggest that you now open a public hearing on the budget. It'll presumably be the same thing, and then you can close it.
Pretend this is a gavel. The public hearing on the Village of Sleepy Hollow fiscal year budget for 2021-22 is now open. Mr. Giacchio, with that change, did that excite anybody enough to want to make comments to the board?
No, it did not. No comments.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
If there are any members of the board who want to address this at this time, I'll open it to that. If not, then I would adjourn. I would look for a motion to adjourn the public hearing on the budget until Tuesday, April 20th at or around 7 o'clock. Trustee Rodriguez.
So a quick
Seconded.
question. Nope, not making a motion. Quick question. On the budget, I see under community and economic assistance, an expenditure through February 28th of 2021 of almost $2.1 million as compared to, around $560,000 or $500,000 in previous years. Could you, I guess, confirm where that increased expenditure came from, and was it related to COVID, which is my assumption?
Mr. Giacomo?
Is that on page 26 that you're referring to?
It is on page 20.
1.979, is that?
Yeah, I'm looking at page 7 on the PDF, 7 of 78. Community and economic assistance.
On page 7?
Yeah, it's in a summary, page 6 actually, of 78 in the PDF. And if it's too much, we could take it offline.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to follow where you are here.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I see.
$2,085,312.
I see it. Okay. So if you go to page 26 of the budget, it's actually the 30, page 31 of 78. It's actually the local development core, the LDC. It's the expenses that were paid for the LDC.
Oh, the 1.979.
Yes.
516. Okay.
That's really what the gist of it was.
Okay. What, I guess, what is that cost? What was included in that cost?
Oh, there were various expenses related to the LDC. I don't know offhand, but there were development fees and other various expenses for the year that were included in that number. We can give you a breakdown. I don't have that right now, but we can certainly let you know what that was.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
Any questions or comments from the board? Additional questions or comments?
None for me. I'll move to adjourn the public hearing on the budget, Ken, until the work session next Tuesday, April 20th.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say or indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimous. So we are adjourned until next week. On the tax cap, I've said my piece, which is the same one I've been saying for a few years now. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? If so, please make them known now. And if I would prefer to just close that public hearing. We've rarely gotten any comment from anybody about that. And I don't think, well, we'll see where the budget process takes us. Or if your preference is, we can adjourn until next Tuesday as well.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the tax cap.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Public hearing is closed. Thank you for that. I believe next up, we have a warrant, which was distributed earlier to members of the board. For the record, the warrant is $510,451.86. I think there were a couple of large expenditures in that. Correct, Ms. DiGiacomo?
Yes, Mayor, there were two, one in the amount of $198,078.12 for Tony Casal Incorporated. That's for Hudson Plaza Park project, the first payment, and also $85,810.75 for New York City Water Board for our February water consumption.
Thank you. Any questions on the budget? On the warrant, excuse me? If not, can I get a motion to approve the warrant?
Move adoption of the warrant.
Is there a
Seconded.
There's a second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
or indicate aye. Opposed, abstentions, and the warrant is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The minutes of March 23rd and April 6th were also distributed to the board. Any edits, comments on the minutes of March 23rd?
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor. There's only 3 of us present tonight that were present that night. Is it something we can still adopt?
We can. It's up to the individual board members to decide whether or not they want to vote to approve minutes on a session when they weren't there. Correct, counsel?
Yes, sir.
So if your preference is to wait, we can do that. Would you like us to withdraw those?
I'm okay with it.
Are before we vote to maybe approve them, are folks who weren't there okay with approving those?
Yes.
In that case, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of March 23rd.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 23rd, 2021.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye or indicate aye.
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 Opposed or abstentions? Please note for the record, Trustee Gonzalez abstained, and the minutes are approved. We also have the minutes of April 6th. Any edits or changes, questions on the minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of April 6th, 2021.
Is there a
Seconded.
second? There's a second. Thank you, Trustee Andrus. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say or indicate aye.
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 Opposed or abstentions? Please note the abstention of Trustee Gonzalez. And the minutes are approved. Thank you. I have really just one announcement, other than encouraging people to reach out to us on the budget as we go forward. But I wanted to note that we received an award from Arts Westchester for the wishing wall. which was pretty cool. The wishing well is pretty cool all by itself, but it was pretty cool to get this award. And I wanted to, if you could take a look at Paula McCarthy's screen. I don't know if people who are watching at home can see this, but the Board of Legislature also recognized us for that same award. So I want to just recognize Kirsten and Harry's among 250 others who participated in the wishing well. So I want to thank the organizers for their work. I want to thank the artists for helping with this, the folks who donated the paint, and the folks who came out and painted the wall. And it turned out to be just a great event for a village that I think was really tired of being unable to gather together in the ways that we find to be normal and regular. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And it's a nice honor for everyone. Okay, we're going to move on. Next up, we're going to go to some department head presentations, and we're going to start with our fire department. Welcome, and look forward to your report.
Good evening,
Mr.
Mayor and Board.
Cornelius.
How's everybody doing? To the new trustees, welcome to the board. Good luck.
Thank you.
As you'll find out in a while, you'll probably take a lot of aspirin after some of these meetings, but good luck.
Thank you.
I met Tom the other night. I haven't had a chance to meet Jared. I'm John Cornelius, Chief of the Fire Department. Next to me is Dana Tavano. She's our Fire Department Administrator. She takes care of just about everything in a fire department with the exception of putting out fires. She kind of keeps us in line. She's a den mother for the fire department and the Cub Scouts.
I think she keeps some fires out on you guys too.
Yeah, and 100%. We just got a few things we're going to run through. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Dana and I will be glad to answer them. Just some of the things we're really looking at to increase. What do you want to start with?
Equipment, probably.
All right, on the equipment lines, I don't have my glasses on. Yeah. So if you see, we went up $10,000. Dana can explain some of that. Some of that has to do with.
Chief, I'm sorry, what page are you on?
We are on.
That depends on what
Well,
pages you have.
I didn't bring my
I have the hard
glasses, so
copy.
Dana had to print something out because I don't have my glasses. Look how big it is.
Oh, 4 font. Yeah, great.
She had to do it. I didn't bring my glasses. So on the actual.
Yeah, on the one that Sarah gave us to fill in, the one that looks like the budget preparation sheet. It's all the same as what he's looking at. So it's the 200 line, basically.
Sarah?
Board, on the mayor's budget, it's page 16 or page 21 out of 78.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, do they have the equipment breakdown too?
No, they do not.
So they don't have this page that explains what the 30,000 is.
We'll go. All right, you ready? You want
Go
to
ahead.
rip through line by line? All right, so on the equipment line, we asked for a $10,000 increase. You don't have the piece of paper we have, but I'll just burn through it real quick. Some of it gets a little boring. Some of the board members know what it is, but if you have any questions, just ask. So what we do every year is we ask each captain of the department to ask for equipment that they need. I've said it in the past and I'll keep saying it. Anything we ask for is something I need, not that I want. You know, I want a Porsche Chief car, and clearly we're not going to get that. So I always ask for stuff we need. With keeping in mind, you know, the taxpayers are footing the bill, even though we're a volunteer department. I'm a volunteer chief. I still have to be conscious of the fact that the taxpayers are paying for this. So, and budgets in the past that we've done, I've never asked for anything that we don't want. I mean, everything I've asked for, we need. So nothing is crazy. So you don't have this, but there's a bunch of hand lights, which obviously pretty self-explanatory, flashlights, but within the fire service, nothing is cheap. So a $2 flashlight usually costs us around $100 or $150. We're gonna just burn right through it. Also some rechargeable lights. Eye wash station for the firehouse. Extrication gloves. So those are gloves we use on car accidents because you don't want to use your firefighting gloves that you would use inside. You want to use different gloves. So we asked for those. It's not that much. Let's see. I'll give you the big items, really. We asked for a new rescue saw. So the rescue saw is basically, if you ever see a fire, they're cutting holes in a roof to make the fire go out instead of spreading. We're asking for a new rescue saw for that. We're also asking for a partner saw, which is basically like a chainsaw, but a heavy duty chainsaw that is fit for the fire service. We're also asking for I'm just going to go through the big things because the rest of the stuff is kind of small. And like I said, at any time you have any questions, you can just call me up or hit me up and I'll explain everything. So we're also looking for a radio charging system on board the truck because right now, currently one of the trucks, all our portable radios, they don't have an onboard charger. So if we get the onboard charger, our radios will always be charged instead of having to rely on people switching batteries out. The worst thing you want is to be in the middle of a fire scene and all of a sudden your battery dies. So we figure putting an onboard charger on one of the other engines will constantly have 6 portables ready to go. Trying to think of the other big ticket items here.
The gas generator.
Oh. All right, so we have a gas generator that runs our Jaws of Life on engine 85. What I've done over the last couple of years, or the last couple of times I've been chief, we try to standardize every vehicle. So it doesn't matter what vehicle pulls up, it'll be able to do every job. So just about on every piece of equipment, we have the Jaws of Life. So the generator runs at Jaws of Life on engine 85 is at its life's end. We're not getting much more out of it. It's been out for repair repeatedly. So we're looking for one of those. That's $2,000. And that's a big ticket item. And then also on there, we're asking for $3,000 in hose. Basically, we get our hose tested every year by a company to make sure it's certified. But at any time at a fire or even a car accident scene, you can burst a hose line, whether people are driving over it or you're just dragging it through a burning building. As a matter of fact, we had a brush fire on Pocoho a couple of weeks ago, and the fire got so out of control at one point that it actually burned through a length of hose that I happened to be on. So stuff like that happens all the time. It's something we use every day. It's something that gets beat up. Also, we're also asking for a smoke exhaust fan. So if you have a smoke condition in your house, we're getting away from we used to have these old bulky fans you needed 3 people to carry. So now they make a portable one that folds up and it's actually chargeable. So we can run it off the battery that comes with it or run it off electricity. We feel if we get one more, that'll round out the rest of the department on our fans. If I could show you how big the old ones were, it was like your old boilers. Your old boilers just really big. Now, if you put a new boiler in, it's the size of a lunchbox. It's almost the same principle. But it beats carrying the new fan carrying up 5 flights of stairs will be way better than carrying the old boiler up 5 flights of stairs.
You use that to vent? Are you using that to vent?
Yes, to vent.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, that's right. You had someone on the job, didn't you?
I have 2 generations of firefighters before.
Okay.
So that was that. So you're starting there.
All right, so that was the 200 line. That's where we're increasing the $10,000. And there's a bunch of other small items, like I said. I mean, if anyone wants to call me or stop by the firehouse one day, especially new board members, I'd be happy to show you around and show you what we're talking about. All right. So we're just going to go down the line. 410. It was $1,500. We're looking for $2,500. It's odds and ends, decorations, stuff to spruce up the firehouse. A lot of times we'll do Santa Claus. This year we've had, we're handing out candy canes for the holidays. We did a lot of drive-bys this year because of COVID. So we like to hand out little trinket items, candy canes, magnets, stickers, stuff like that. It's just for good public relations, basically. We also like to keep in the firehouse a bunch of little plastic fire helmets for the kids when they stop by. So we kind of burned through a lot of them this year because we did a lot of birthday parties. So we kind of burned through a lot of those. So we kind of just want to up that a little. And then 411, we
Chief.
increased it by, go ahead.
Don't say burn through.
It's fire
Okay.
talk, sorry.
Please.
On 411, let's see, office supplies, we're asking for an increase of $1,000. So
That's the copy machine
it's basically the copy machine. We have to,
Sarah gave us.
yeah, Sarah gave us one, but we need toner and we do our own department IDs. We also have accountability tags. So for your new members, an accountability tag is, I have 2 IDs on my turnout gear. If a firefighter is going into a fire, he leaves an ID with a command card, me or one of the chiefs, and he keeps one on. So at the end, I know who's inside and who's at the fire. Their accountability tags. So we print our own instead of sending them out. So that's just the normal.
Uniforms stayed the same.
Yep, uniforms stay the same. Cleaning supplies.
Just went up a little.
Yeah, went up $200 just because of the price of the cleaning supplies, car washes. Now we're buying a little bit more stuff for deconning the equipment and wiping hands down. So we're buying a lot of other stuff like that.
So Snow Watch stayed the same,
Yep.
but you're asking for.
So on Snow Watch, it's staying the same, and as the mayor knows and the treasurer knows, it's like budgeting money for snow for DPW. You can get a lot of snow, or you can get none. So for your newer board members, Snow Watch is when we know we're gonna get an active weather, whether it's hurricane or heavy rains or snow, we'll actually pay people to stay in a firehouse. The thinking is if you're at your house and you have 2 feet of snow and you have to get to the firehouse, you have to dig out your car. This way we have people in place at the firehouse manning all the rigs. We're looking probably to increase to $10 an hour because it's been that way since 1984 when I got in. But again, that's one of those lines you may never use. I mean, this year, I believe Chief Devano went through it really quick because we had that major snowstorm. 2.5 days or 32 hours, we had people in the firehouses. So it's just one of those lines that you may use, you may never not use. You know, it all depends on Mother Nature. And she does what she wants, as we all know. And the cell phones, you want to talk about that? Because this is a little technical. So this is Dana.
So the cell phones there are 2, no, you both had one, but yours is DPW. So there's the 2 new assistant chiefs that didn't have one before that will get one. And then they have tough books in each fire truck, but they don't have air cards in them. So it's to add the air cards that they need and the puck for the 1 tough book and the other 2 chiefs' phones. Oh, and my phone that I need to have because I'm important, so.
She actually is probably more important than I am. On the utility line, well, it went up 10,000 and Sarah will tell you that's.
Yeah, that's all her.
Because utilities always do. Sarah always comes up with that line. That's one line we basically don't have control of. The electric bill and the gas and oil is what it is. And I've never seen them go down. So Sarah put that line together. She knows what's going to happen. That's why she beefed up that line. Protective gear.
That's your 6 new members, the increase.
Yep. So if you see, we increased the turnout gear because, and again, for your newer board members, our turnout gear, when I first got in, it was a free-for-all. You just grab the coat if it fit you, and that's what you use. So with today's regulations, every person has to have their own turnout gear. You cannot share anybody's gear with NFPA guidelines. So turnout gear is roughly 30.
It's about $4,000 a person.
So for $4,000, you get a pair of boots, pants, jacket, helmet, gloves, and a Nomex hood. And I cannot share that with anyone. No one can switch their gear out. It's good and bad. It's good in the fact that you have your own gear. It's bad in the fact that if someone joins a fire department, takes a basic training, and let's say they're 7 feet tall and I buy that person gear, if they leave, I got to hope someone who's 7 foot comes in so I can give them that gear. So unless you're the same size, I can't switch gear around. So I basically have to buy any new member gear. And also our gear has a shelf life of 10 years, unfortunately. I mean, we could probably get away. Some of our members, you know, really are going to go in and fight a fire and do outside stuff, but it doesn't matter. After 10 years, they cannot use the gear. They use the gear for in-house training only. Again, It's no different than the federal government putting mandates on municipalities. They want you to do all the stuff they mandate it, but what they don't do is, as you know, Mayor, Sarah, they don't fund it. So, and turnout gear is never cheap. So, you know, there's very few manufacturers, so they know they kind of got you. So you're going to pay whatever they decide. It's actually a nice business to get into for future reference.
And you buy it as a package, right? Like you can't buy pants individually that
You
are
can
at
buy,
7 feet
you
long.
can buy the pieces.
You can buy
Okay.
pieces, but at the end of the day, it's still going to come out the same because you have to buy, everything's got to be 10 years. Everything has to be custom fit. So if someone does ruin a pair of pants, but the rest of their gear is still good for a couple of years, yeah, we can go out and just buy pants. But when you're ready to take your firefighter 1 class, you have to have your own gear fitted for you. And if you're a normal sized person, well, normal, I mean, like I'm 5'11". So if you're around my height, there's other people in the department of 5'11". So if I were to leave, someone could use it. But when you, like I said, if you get someone who's 7 foot and they leave, you better hope another 7-footer walks in the door. So, I mean, they kind of got you that way, and it's fine. It is what it is. But again, it's like the mandates just get pushed down and you kind of don't have a choice.
So the next line is equipment lease or rental that I found used to be in the budget. So asking to put it back with $6,000. The company that cleans our gear and services it offers a rental program. So firefighter 1 is like 5 or 6 months, depending on when they run it. It would cost about $1,000 a firefighter to put them through that class by renting gear for the 5 or 6 months. The only, I mean, there was like major damage. I showed Sarah the contract that they have. It's 1 page. You really only pay if you literally like cut it in half. It's not like, you know, it's nothing crazy. But if they rent it, then you're only out about $1,000 if that person doesn't pass or doesn't stay.
So the theory behind it is instead of me spending $4,000, I'll just use Jared because you're up on my screen. The theory is instead of buying Jared $4,000 worth of gear to go to firefighter 1, which is our basic class mandated by the state you have to take, we rent you the gear. And if you pass and you're going to stick around, then I'll spend the $4,000 on you. We've been, like I said, we've been burned in the past. People joined, taken a class, and all of a sudden bailed, and I'm stuck with the gear. Also, with renting gear, so now there's a new NFPA guideline. Anytime your gear is exposed to smoke, whether it's a car fire, brush fire, an interior fire, you have to get it cleaned. And the company that cleans it takes about a week. So what they could do in the meantime, instead of our firefighters being without a gear for a week, I can rent them a set of gear just for the week until it comes back through the same company. So we won't be down gear or a firefighter. I think that's kind of the way to go. Again, you know, if I buy 4 sets of gear, $4,000 each, and 8 months from now they all decide to leave, I'm stuck with their gear. Where if I just rent it, we're only out $1,000 a person.
And it takes 2 months to order gear, if you're lucky. Angela's just took 8 months to get here, so.
So that's, Dana come up with that idea, and I think that's actually a very good idea. It's actually going to save us money in the end, all the way around. Oh, so then we have the vehicle maintenance repair line. We upped it 5% due to the increase of the labor costs, and some of our trucks are getting fairly old. We have 1 truck downstairs. It's a 1991. The next newest one, the one after that's a 2002. In the last couple of years, the mayor and the previous boards have bought 2 new trucks, but 3 of our trucks are 20, or like I said, the 1 truck downstairs is 30+ years old. So their maintenance is getting to be a little bit more money, and the cost of a car mechanic, like everything else, goes up every year.
This is building maintenance.
And then we're on to.
Oh, equipment maintenance, sorry.
On here.
462.
Yeah, thank you. So it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the equipment maintenance line went up about the same to cover the cost of servicing the exhaust systems in the buildings.
So in our firehouse, again, by law, we have these tubes that plug into the exhaust system on the trucks. So when you start the trucks up in the firehouse, the diesel fumes don't go all throughout the firehouse. And downstairs, back in the day before we had the system, you'd start the trucks up or back them in, and the smoke, you could smell it all the way upstairs. So we got a grant about, I don't know, 15 years ago to have the systems put in, but every year they require maintenance. They have to come out, inspect them. Sometimes they break, but it's a yearly maintenance thing. And again, it's one of those things you have to have. It's better than having smoke blow all over the firehouse on people's gears and just in the building.
The next one is building maintenance, which just went up 2,000.
Yeah, building maintenance just went up, like she said, about $2,000 just for labor costs and product costs. I mean, it's
Door
really nothing
system.
crazy.
The key door
Oh,
system.
so on all of our firehouses except one, we have a key fob system like you do get in a village hall. We're trying to do the one down the street, plus also the maintenance of the other two buildings for the key fob system. So that's why we asked for a $2,000 increase. And then we're going down to, software and maintenance, and that's staying the same, right?
That's basically, yeah, it's the same. It's just to cover any updates and things like the LoSAP module and stuff like that.
So all of our state reports that we have to submit are done on the computer and they automatically get sent up. When I first got in, you used to have to fill out a report in triplicate and send it to Albany. Now it's all done by computer, and also our LoSAP, which the other board members know is a retirement program for the fire department members. It also runs that. So we can just look in at any time and it gives us accurate records of people's attendance for drills and everything else. So that's just staying the same. And is this you? No, first of all.
Now, the subscriptions is just all your basic ones that we have,
Yep.
plus we increased 200 to add Amazon Prime.
Because as everyone knows, if Amazon doesn't have it, you can't get it. If they have it, you can get it in 2 days. So we're kind of trying to catch up with the times here. So that's why I threw that up there.
Professional development stayed the same because there was COVID. So
Yeah, so professional development is training, bringing in outside people. The county offers a lot of classes. It doesn't cost us anything, but also we want to do specialty training. We'll bring in a professional, and that's staying the same. The reason we have a lot of money left over is because of COVID. We really couldn't do anything. We just did some bailout training, which some of the board members know. It's a rope rescue system. If a firefighter gets trapped on a 3rd floor and you can't access them with a ladder, they can actually put a hook on a window with a 50-foot rope and get out the window. So we just had a bunch of guys take that class as an instructor, and they'll do the rest of the department. But
that has
that's,
its own law.
yep. Oh, I'm sorry. And then before COVID, we ran a class on solar panels, and we also ran a class on railroad safety. So some of these the county doesn't offer, or if they do, they'll always get filled up. So we like to bring in outside people and bring them in and get the men and women trained. That has stayed the same.
Fire prevention.
Yeah, so fire prevention just basically went up $100. Nothing has gone up that much, but we figure an extra $100 will cover anything that's going up. And that's when we go to the schools and talk to the kids about fire prevention. We do demonstrations. We buy comic books, the hats, and giveaways and stuff like that. So we go to more schools, St. Teresa's, and a lot of times the kids will come to us, to the firehouse. The teachers will call up. We'll have a couple of firefighters here and we'll take them through the firehouse. So hopefully that'll open up again, because last year with COVID, not so much.
Physicals.
Yep, and then our physicals, again, these are mandated every year. Every firefighter has to have a physical. Jared, you probably know this, the biggest killer of firefighters aren't dying in the line of duty so much at a fire, it's heart attacks. So every year we have clarity testing come in. Every firefighter, whether you go inside the building or if you only want to work on the outside, if you want to remain on the active roles, you have to take a physical. It's mandated by law. And, you know, it's actually helped a couple of people catch some stuff where normally they wouldn't have caught it. Maybe high blood pressure or cholesterol was high. So
You also have to have one on file and a current one, is that the right word? To be considered if you want to use the cancer bill that they passed.
bailout training, we're basically touched on that. So what we just did is we had about 5 of our firefighters take the instructor class. And then from there, we'll also bring in a company to help them get the rest of the members bailout certified. If you want to be an interior firefighter, you have to have that training. You have to have that piece of equipment on you. Again, for the public at home, if you're God forbid something happens, you're trapped on a third floor, you can't get out. You'll essentially use a big hook with a 50-foot rope, and you'll hook to a windowsill or something secure inside, and you'll be able to get outside of the fire. You'll be able to hang on the outside of the building until we can come and get you. So that's for the bailout training. And if, Jared, if you want to look, and Tom, you come to the firehouse one day, our members actually built a bailout simulator in the back of the firehouse. The village paid for the material and the initial construction, but we've been updating it with our members. So you want to come by one time. It's a pretty cool piece of equipment and shows people how to get out of a building in the event that we have to. We always say, if you do your job, you don't have to, but things happen. All right, so the contractual went up. Dana is part of that contractual. Dana's position has been $500 probably since we started this position 10 or more years ago. Dana's job as a fire department administrator has gotten way more detailed and way more time consuming with the red alert maintenance, the low SAP. Dana also does all of our shopping, so to speak. So she'll go out and get 3 prices. She'll go out, and you can ask Sarah. Dana's very good at her job. She'll check with state contracts. She'll talk to vendors. So her job is, over the last 2 years, has gotten a lot bigger and it's taken up a lot more of her time. So I'm looking to increase her up to where I think she should be paid. And actually, she's probably underpaid, but without making a civil service position out of it. This was the cheapest way out. But I think all the work that Dana has done throughout the last few years since she's been here, it's time. She spends way more time than anybody else has in that position. She does a lot more work. She has a lot more responsibility for the fire department. So there's an increase in there, and I'd spoken to Sarah about it. I want to bump her up a couple $100 more a month, and that's part of the contractual expenditures.
Parades that didn't happen this year might happen.
Yeah, and we go to a couple parades every year. We try to go to the Westchester County Parade and the Tarrytown Parade. Obviously, there were none this year because of COVID, but they seem to be opening them up. And the thing about parades, it's a good morale booster for the younger members. Gives them a sense of pride. They get to go out and show off themselves and their equipment. Brings people together. So we want to put that back in and increase it a little. Also, just to give everyone an update on LoSAP, I know it was passed by a large margin with thanks to the mayor and board. And it was designed to bring more people out and also recruit. Our numbers, since we've started the LoSAP, for training, house duty drills, meetings, and calls, our response times have gotten better, and our average at all these events have gone up probably double digits. So just so if anyone in the public ever has a question about LoSAP, you can come by the firehouse anytime, and I will be glad to show them the numbers before we had LoSAP and the numbers that we have now. Like I said, they've gone up double digits without even batting an eye, and we're getting more people out than before. We used to have people who really didn't come out for anything. And now, if you want to make your LoSAP and get your LoSAP, you have to do X amount of drills, alarms, meetings, and details. It has helped us a lot. So yeah, I can't thank the mayor and the board enough for, they really pounded the pavement for us, so to speak. But just so the taxpayers know, it has really paid off dividends, probably better than any stock market dividend has. Do we want to talk about the capitals briefly, or do you want to wait until you do capitals?
No, we'll wait.
Okay, all right. Other than that, if anyone has any questions, and if you're tired of hearing me talking, we're good.
No questions for me. Thanks, John. I might swing by that firehouse soon, but I don't hold it against me if I don't do the 50-foot rope.
Yeah, we'll get someone to show you.
Okay.
Paula can give you my phone number, and if you guys ever want to stop by or had any questions, just give me a shout at any time.
I'd like to see this demonstration too. I've never seen this before.
Well, let's, we'll put out a date maybe. We'll send out an email to you guys. You may all come up, we'll do a little lunch and we'll show you.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Yes, thank
It's
you.
very interesting, actually.
I would like that.
You're buying, Denise. Now you're deputy mayor. Now you're
That's
deputy mayor,
right.
making a big deputy mayor money.
Yeah. Sure. Sure am.
That's page 57. Yeah.
She went up to 32 cents an hour. Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now you're
Thank you.
rounding up, but If there aren't any other questions, thank you both. I just also want to say congratulations, Chief, for being elected by your peers to be chief again. Also, congratulations to Assistant Chief Ryan and Second Assistant Chief Ben Cosme. Congratulations to all three of you. And of course, we all want to thank Chief Tavano for his 3 years of service. It's deeply appreciated by the village. So thanks. To me, it's like when you're the chief, you're kind of always the chief. It's sort of like being president, even when you're no longer, and you're still, you take the title with you. So as far as I'm concerned, it's still Chief Tavano. And we all thank him for his service, his time, and know that he's still with us and still serving and helping. So
Now he's got to babysit a little more.
congratulations, John, and to Billy and to Steve as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We're going to move to our other core volunteer emergency services group, and that is the Sleepy Hollow Ambulance Corps. And Chief Martello, you're up.
Hello, how is everyone tonight?
Very good, thanks.
Hi, Angela.
It's an EMT asking that question, so all my vitals are fine. How's that?
Perfect, good to know. I won't send anyone to your house. All right, I think I have a lot fewer words than Johnny does. I'm sitting across the table from him, but here's your phone back. I had his phone to put it on silent because he didn't know how to do that. So starting at the top on the 200 line for the equipment, I requested a $2,000 increase, which would be largely to assist in replacing our laptops. So like the fire department, we carry Toughbook laptops in the ambulances that are, and in the fly car that are, we use on each call. We're not the most gentle people, and a lot of times you're carrying a lot of other things, and the laptops have done well over the last 6 years that we've had them, but they've started running very slow and not efficiently, so it's definitely time for an increase. Under the materials and supplies line, we're asking for a $1,000 increase from 9,000 to 10,000, and this is going to kind of be the common theme of everything today, is going to be due to the pandemic and COVID. We have last year went way over our allotted amount due to buying supplies for the majority of the village, which is under the pandemic plan. It's the responsibility of Ambulance Corps to supply those items to most of the village staff members and everything as people came back to work. So the increase in the mask costs and the increase in cost in some items, mostly gloves. Apparently the nitrile gloves get imported from Malaysia, and there's a a large like standstill on them being made and shipped here. So there is quantity allotments for those. We have had a higher call volume due to the pandemic, and we are using a lot more items, more gloves, more masks on each call to make sure our members stay safe and the public stays as safe as possible. The office supply line, we increased by $300. That is, we're trying to get a little more organized, make some new organization systems, and with LoSAP, just making sure everything's in order. So if we did ever get audited, that everything is in line, and Melissa is assisting greatly with that and making sure that everything's kind of done completely. The uniform line, we asked for an increase, and this is kind of the same thing as with COVID, the higher risk of pathogens on everyone's uniforms. People kind of aren't throwing that shirt back on that maybe they were throwing on when they were coming out in the middle of the night for a call. People are using more uniforms, and we're kind of rotating them out more with the pants and the boots, or people that were kind of coming in their personal clothes are coming in a full uniform now. For cleaning supplies, we increased by $300. Same thing, we just need to ensure that we're sanitizing after every call, even more than we were before. And it has, I believe, has definitely affected us positively in the sense that no one has gotten sick that's directly correlated to the Ambulance Corps. Everyone that's gotten COVID kind of knows they got it somewhere else, all the members that we have. And then obviously we want to make sure that our patients don't get sick either. There is a lot of times we go on calls, and if people have another health related issue that's not due to COVID, they're hesitant to go to the hospital because they don't want to get COVID. So we are obviously want to make sure that we're not the ones getting them sick. Snow watch cell phone staying the same. Utilities going up by 200, same as the fire department. We're kind of going on Sarah's lead here, just that utilities get more costly as the years go on. For professional, I don't know what the word is, my spreadsheet's kind of, yeah, professional development here. That is our annual paid EMT coverage. Those rates are set by Ossining Ambulance Corps and the Mid-Hudson Ambulance District. They go up by a certain percentage every year, so that's just increased based on that, based on the numbers they provide us for their hourly rate and then overtime and training. Vehicle maintenance, equipment maintenance, building maintenance, software, membership services, and professional, oh no, the other one was not professional development, professional consultants. Those are all staying the same. Professional development staying the same. We're still waiting for a lot of the classes to start back up due to COVID. Everything's kind of shut down. Next week, we are doing a joint class with the fire department. We're doing pet CPR and first aid. So if we respond to someone's house and someone's pet is having an emergency or choking or not breathing, we're going to be trained to be able to revive them as well. We will not be transporting them, but we can revive them. Medical services is staying the same. And then for the contractual expenses, we increased it, which would is the increase for the hometown fee, which we provide to the LoSAP program every year to get them running. Questions, comments, concerns?
This question, I don't know if you can take this, Angela. Maybe Anthony, maybe you can address this. I know that this, you know, with all this money coming down from the federal government, that they're reimbursing municipalities for all kinds of expenses that they may have incurred over the last year. Is there, have you heard anything about being able to file for reimbursement for the kind of expenses that Angela was talking about increased?
So we have, I can actually answer this. We have through the, I know the police department and us as well have submitted all of our COVID related expenses through Fiona to do the FEMA reimbursement program. And we've just been on a consistent basis working with her to get whatever she needs to apply for that to get the reimbursements.
Okay, so, you know, because we're going to want to consider that in terms of, you know, budgetary increases that you mentioned. If we're being reimbursed by the federal government, you know, we should take a look at how that balances out.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, Angela, I have another topic I need to talk to you about offline. So I sent you my phone number in the chat here. So if you could give me a call tomorrow, okay?
Sounds great. What time's good for you?
Anytime after 9.
Perfect. I'll be sleeping till 9. So.
Sounds good.
Isn't there an app for that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Martello. And we look forward to considering your comments along with those of the fire department. Okay, we're going to move on to public comments. Is there anyone who would like to address the board, Mr. Giacchio?
No comments at this time.
Okay, I would just remind folks that we have another period at the end of our meeting when you can address the board if you would like to on any matter. Okay, we actually have one resolution to consider this evening. And I need someone to read that resolution so that we can then see if it's moved and seconded.
And I'm happy to read. This is the resolution from earlier today, correct?
Yes.
All right. I will start. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sleepy Hollow hereby suspend for 2 weeks without pay employee number 1091, effective Wednesday, April 14th, 2021.
Seconded.
So moved. Tom? So moved? Okay.
So moved. So moved,
is-
sorry.
And there is a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Say or indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? The resolution is approved. Okay, we'll move on to old business, new business. Anybody have anything they want to raise under old business or new business? And while you're thinking about that, I'll ask the clerk if we have any correspondence.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Great. So we received email correspondence from Shisuto Mitsumoto regarding Kingsland Point Park, which I forwarded to you on the board. And we also got communication from Sonia Monroe, also regarding Douglas Park. And I also forward that to you on the board, and that is all we got.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just a quick note, side note anyway, I guess more of an announcement. Trustee Rodriguez, you're going to do the presentation at the planning board on Thursday. There'll be a presentation I think will be of interest to members of the board and the general public about form-based zoning. And as you know, as an outgrowth of one of the most important parts of our comprehensive plan is looking at our zoning, especially in our downtown, and how we may be able to induce additional investment downtown. And this would be helpful to people who are looking at that and thinking about it. And just in general, I think it'll be pretty interesting.
And also just to add to that, in the spirit of collaboration with the Village of Tarrytown, we have Trustee David Kim joining me to discuss incremental development, in the context of form-based codes. So
nice to know that we're going to be collaborating with the Village of West Elmsford. So I encourage you all to join in that presentation on Thursday night. It just timing wise, at the beginning of the planning board, at the end of the planning board meeting.
good question. I do not know. I will have to find that out for you.
All right.
I'm ready. I could give it right now if you want.
I don't believe that there is anything on the planning board agenda other than Mr. Rodriguez and the other West Elmsford presentation.
Thank you, Council.
And what time does the planning board meeting start?
I believe it's
That's
at
the hard
7.
7.
Thank you.
And that would be
yeah.
April 15th, which was the day that our taxes were due, but apparently it's been bumped back again. So
can we open new business?
that's what I said.
Right.
So go for it.
So new business. I do have another presentation to share with everyone here and for the public that's watching. I just need to be given rights to share my screen.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Giacchio?
You can
Got it. I got it. Cool. Thank you. That was quick. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great. So there have been a bunch of folks really interested in visual improvements to Beekman Avenue that can assist with a number of things: economic development, improving the business climate for our local businesses, increasing public space access, and just generally bringing the community together. We have been speaking about for a long time some intersections along Beekman that have proven a little bit difficult from a traffic and pedestrian safety perspective. But they're also, in some ways, eligible for improvement from a visual standpoint. So this is what my presentation is really about. It's under the guise of placemaking, but I think there's a number of improvements that can be had if we rethink some of these intersections. Beekman is a long street. It has some problems. We've heard the public come to meetings and voice concerns over certain parts of Beekman and speeding traffic and safety and whether an area is visually appealing or not. Big issue, but how do you eat an elephant? Really, you need to take some small bites and do it in many phases. And some of them we could start now. So if you break down a big problem into small pieces, right, and start now, there's more opportunity for community engagement. We can do some rapid deployment in locations that have generally low impact on the flow of traffic. We can have continuous improvement over time, so everybody is continually seeing improvements to our most important street, and we can sustain excitement and engagement in the community. So the first intersection I think that I wanted to bring everyone's attention to is the one at left. It is Kendall and Beekman Avenue. Just showing you here a concept using generally approved measures that are found in a handbook for intersection redesign that most cities in North America today use. This is not set in stone. This is open for discussion and debate. But this is one way to improve and increase public space on an intersection that does generally see vehicles not stopping at stop signs because they're hidden behind trees, and one that could probably be a little bit more visually appealing. So, what I'm suggesting here is just paint. It could happen in an afternoon, restriping the crosswalks, providing refuge areas on either side of the street, and making the stop signs more visible. This intersection does not even require eliminating a parking space. The parking space could potentially move on to Kendall, where there's a large area that is currently not parked. And then obviously another way to increase, curb appeal is with plantings and planters. All of this is movable. All of this could be seasonal. Paint is fairly cheap. And if this doesn't work, paint can be painted over. So just drawing your attention to the next intersection, which I think is fairly important, plus some other crosswalks that are a little bit problematic today. Pecanico and Beekman, which was a focus area for a committee that actually did a temporary intervention there and took feedback from the public. In general, I think folks liked that temporary intervention. And so there was a lot to learn from that and potentially replicate what was suggested during that process. Today we have conditions where folks are coming out between two parked cars. It's a fairly unsafe condition in front of the Van Tassel block. And then we also have left turning vehicles that are making a right onto Teresa, and they are not seeing pedestrians as they negotiate through this S turn with oncoming traffic because there's no stop signs near this intersection. And I have personally been tapped by a vehicle from behind at this crosswalk. So I know where the public's concern is coming from. The next intervention that could potentially occur, and I'm not saying this is something that I am advocating for right now, but I think this is just the start of a discussion, is this, what we call the dog leg at Cortland, where Cortland splits into two separate lanes with a tree island at Beekman. And the opportunity there is really, this is not a new idea. This came out of a ULI study or Urban Land Institute study, where there's the potential to create some pretty transformative public space in what is probably our most important intersection. It's Beekman and Cortland in front of the Van Tassel block. This area in particular needs more public space. Specifically during the pandemic, honestly, we have a lot of great restaurants where folks can take out and sit outdoors. And as the weather starts getting better, I think we do want to see more public activity happening in our downtown and along Beekman Ave. Moving on, there have been some really great ideas that were raised recently about doing murals. We mentioned the wishing wall earlier today. That is a wild success. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people in the region have commented to me how amazing that project was. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, public art project along the Hudson River ever. I mean, how long is the wall? I think it's something like 600 feet long. Really incredible project. And where else do we have a canvas? Well, honestly, our roadways are a canvas and it's really large. So one of the first places we could start is at Pecanico and Beekman, either inside the box or in the crosswalks, doing public art with our many artists that live in the community. There's a lot of interest about this. So if anyone's interested in getting more involved, there's a budding committee to focus on this particular intersection. Another opportunity that's coming up is the next block in front of Van Tassel and sort of the one after it. These are also pretty great canvases for public art. We are very interested in applying to a program via Bloomberg Philanthropies. They're actually doing grants for asphalt art. And this is one way of really activating probably one of the most important stretches of Beekman, supporting our local businesses and just drawing attention to our downtown. Moving on from here, another opportunity, just to state it again, you see the triangle right in the center of the screen. That is that Cortland dogleg area. If that became a public plaza, it is also a canvas for public art, right below your feet. So just moving on from there, Trustee Gebler is not in the meeting tonight, but we came up with a fantastic idea to reuse election lawn signs and upcycle them into birdhouses. There's an event coming up the weekend of Earth Day. More on that on our website, where we're asking the community to turn out to help fashion these birdhouses. It's an event geared towards children and families. But if anyone is interested in using some of these old lawn signs to create birdhouses, this is one way to draw attention to the environment and then also create some vibrancy in our downtown through what is a tactic called guerrilla urbanism. It brings whimsy and interest to a downtown. I was recently in Beacon, and all the street trees along Beacon's main street have various birdhouses hanging and bird feeders hanging from the branches. So kind of a fun and interesting project. You might remember the fairy houses that were at Douglas Park. There's a lot of commotion about that. Children love this stuff. This is one way of getting people to recognize the importance of downtown and just bring an element of fun and something new to see. So other efforts can layer on to this intervention, creating public space. Nothing has to happen in order. This isn't linear. Things can happen at a sequence. There's a lot we can do to create outdoor events just with lighting and public art installations. We kind of owe it to our local businesses to create an environment along Beacon or Beekman to bring business and just help us emerge out of this particularly rough year to be stronger. And so really the question is, and I'll pose this to the board, at what corner can we start? It doesn't have to happen all at once. How do you eat an elephant, in really small bites? So pretty excited to present this. Most of this isn't my idea. A lot of this is coming from the community. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you.
Yeah, Jared, thank you for the great presentation. So, as you say, some really great ideas there. Just, I guess, a few quick questions. And by the way, that last slide on outdoor sidewalk or street dining, that's very intriguing for me. But as long as we find the right spot,
Right.
I think. And Anthony or Mayor, I think that Edge on Hudson, so I think they have it in mind, or they're obligated perhaps with special permit to do some improvements along Beekman. And so conceivably, anything that happens there, you'd want to coordinate with that effort.
Of course.
Especially those intersections. I'm pretty sure it can, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a turning lane planned for Beekman and Pecanico.
Yes.
At some point. And one last point, two, Jared. Do we have examples maybe in a future meeting, or you could email them around later, examples of this asphalt art? I mean, the way I envision it is it would get worn away quickly by tires. And lastly, I'm wondering if because of that, maybe it might make a little bit more sense to do the asphalt art in a parking lot. I don't know, but those are my comments. But otherwise, really good ideas there.
Right. I mean, the interesting thing about a fleeting art installation, right? Because it would be. I mean, it would wear out over time. Is that you could come back and do something different, right? In a lot of ways, actually, our wishing wall is fleeting because that wall will be demolished, right? But it made a lot of people feel really good, for the limited time that it'll be up. And then also just the point of creating it, right? Like the act of creating it is a way to bring the community together. And we're all a little bit frustrated with the pandemic. We all want to see the community coming together and creating positive things. And this is a really interesting opportunity to kind of rethink our downtown as a canvas for bringing people together. It's really kind of like an interesting take on economic development.
Jared, I want to thank you for introducing this topic to the board, and I look forward to continuing this conversation in a work session. I've seen examples of some of this stuff just very recently, of some of the things that you talked about. And I know a big focus of the board is figuring out ways to that we can bring more interest and more support to our downtown. And this is a kind of a cool way to look at that. Yes, please circulate some of that stuff. We've got some other things that we can send everybody as well. And looking forward to having a kind of more free-ranging discussion about this. You're on top of it. The rest of us is, for the rest of us, at least on the board anyway, it's a fairly new subject and new to certainly to Sleepy Hollow. But I think there's some really interesting cues we can take from some of these other places. And I look forward to, frankly, you leading us through a discussion in a work session on this.
Yeah. Then, the really nice thing about it is that it's paint and it's cheap and it can change versus pouring concrete.
It's inexpensive.
Oh, yes. Inexpensive.
Yeah. So interesting that the people on the wishing wall were able to take all this donated paint and do interesting things with it. It's one thing to be able to paint stuff when you choose the colors. It's another thing when you have to work with whatever you're given. So I made it, I thought of it a little bit like musicians being forced to play with whatever instrument somebody gave them. Um, Not always the best way to do it, but obviously the wishing wall came out pretty great. Thank you again. We'll move on to additional public comments. Mr. Giacchio, you're somewhere on the screen. There you are. Do we have any requests to address the board?
We do. Ann White would like to talk.
Okay, Ms. White, you have 3 minutes. You're up. Welcome back.
I'm so delighted to see Jared's presentation here. And I want to make a couple of comments following on that. I sent to the mayor and trustee Spiro and some other people one of the videos from Bloomberg Philanthropies that was a project in Norfolk, Virginia, where the police were also involved in helping to paint the intersections. And I see this as an opportunity to have that also a way of police connecting better with the community. And I would also, I know you want to take small bites, but I hope that you won't ignore Cortland and Valley, because they are very underserved. And I think it really, we really need to be paying attention to them. We're talking about doing some planters down there. But if we're painting the pavement up on Beekman, I hope we will also take on an intersection down either on Valley or Portland to serve that community as well. And I think I'm just really excited to see this move forward, and didn't take on anything more, but I can't resist this. And by the way, we did quite a number of painting intersections in St. Paul, and the paint generally lasts on busy intersections for about 2 to 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Giacchio, anyone else requesting the opportunity to speak?
No other comments.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye, or indicate aye. Aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday evening in our work session. Be well.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.